Hey Ashwin, it's 2024. We have a lot of new things happening, and the goal of the Ubrik Edu Marketing series is to add a lot of value to education marketers who are watching this. And today we have an interesting topic, and I'm sure you are pretty ready to discuss this in more detail. And we will be discussing the student's journey. But before we delve deep into the student's journey, can you please bring us to speed on the overall student journey, how it looks like, and what are the key things that someone needs to understand about the student journey?
Absolutely. I think with respect to students' journey, we're talking about the higher education industry. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, students' journey is not something that we coined internally, but it's a lot of very interesting facts that we've seen in the market and how the education industry, especially the higher education industry, is getting evolved too. And all the focus is on the end student, the end customer. Yeah. And we're trying to see how we can help the end student make a decision so that they are able to go from one step to the other in their journey in order to make a decision. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share my screen and sort of give you a perspective of this
Definitely.
journey. So let me just go ahead and swiftly do that. So yeah, I think this example clearly encapsulates what the student's journey look like, right? So you have
Mhm.
multiple phases in the student's journey, and higher education institutes, universities, colleges, they have a chance to really try to impact this student's journey so that they are able to attract, engage, and delight students across these phases. Yeah. So there's research, evaluate, apply, and enroll. Now, I'll just try to give you a quick glimpse of what each of these phases really mean.
Mhm.
Research is a very, very early phase where I'm probably 12 months in, 18 months in, 24 months in towards my program. Now, that's really an interesting anecdotal information, right? Because students are not making decisions in the last 3 months or 6 months in their journey towards a program and towards a university, right? I'm sure
Yes.
your case is very similar when you did your MBA as well, where I'm sure you spent more than 12 months to decide whether you need to do one and what kind of program sort of gives you an interest, which university do you need to pursue in, what are the opportunities once you complete this program, how does your career look like, how would you fund this program. There are hundreds of questions
relating
students. Yeah.
relating to this point that you mentioned from a student's perspective, because there are a lot of other things that actually come along with the decision. Like for example, you have to get your finances in order because the program comes at a substantial cost. Yeah, then if you're a working professional, how's it going to impact your work life balance and your responsibilities at work? And as a parent, probably, yeah, for me that was like one of the key considerations. So I was actually looking at a program that will give me that flexibility. So there are a lot of key factors that kind of a person considers before getting into a decision like this, as you said, because nobody is just going to throw so much of money without actually considering any of this. So 100% agree with you that it is a time consuming process, and definitely people start way ahead. It's not just before the program. Yeah, so understood. Please
100%.
go
Now
ahead.
at
Yeah.
now you mentioned a lot of questions, right? These
Mhm.
are all questions that students have at different stages in their journey. At research stage, where they're, like I mentioned, 12 months, 24 months ahead, they have a series of questions which is probably related to them mostly googling for information. If you think about it, yeah, they're there online, reading articles, reading blogs, consuming videos, reading a lot of posts on LinkedIn. They're continuously researching for what they need to be doing. Yeah, that's the research phase of their journey. Next is the evaluate stage where they're looking at, okay, I understand what I need to do. Now I'm a little intrigued on which program should I choose, or which university should I choose, or which kind of specialization do I need to pick. That's more of the evaluate stage. Yeah.
Mm,
And
mm,
then when you get into the apply stage is when they start applying to multiple universities. Each universities have their own application experience. Most of it is on demand today, and some universities even have an application process on WhatsApp, which was something that I'm sure, Sujeevan, you wouldn't have experienced when you were applying for some universities. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's something that's extremely unique. Yeah, because
Mm,
it's on your fingertips, and the entire application process happens within WhatsApp. Yeah.
that's right.
And then of course you have the enroll phase where they begin their enrollment journey. So in this edu marketing video series, what we want to cover is go through each of these series of stages and
Yes,
try to understand what capabilities universities can leverage to help
definitely.
aid students to make better decisions. Yeah.
100%. 100%. So,
Yeah.
Ashwin, a quick question and taking you to discussion a little further.
Yeah.
Now, we understand that a lot of strategies like ads, SEO are universal things across this student's journey. But there are unique tools or, as you said, differentiators that can be brought up on each of these stages for a brand to engage with their student better so that they can actually help push the student down the funnel, the marketing funnel. Yeah.
Mm.
So why don't we get into the research stage, and why don't you showcase some examples as such?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just before I get there, I completely agree with what you're saying. I
Mhm.
think ads, SEO, social media, most of these foundational elements always exist because they've been existing for the last 5, 6 years now. A university that's never done ads 3 years before most probably is doing ads today because they've seen most of their competition doing it, or they're
Mhm.
able to see that it's one of the ways to reach to a target audience that they've never had access to before.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So ads, SEO, all that is like must have buckets that they need to tick, like you mentioned. But that being said, I think this this conversation gets a little bit more interesting because we're trying to understand, apart from the must haves, are there really interesting solutions out there in the market that a few universities are leveraging to be able to perform the same job of helping students make better decisions? Yeah.
Fantastic.
And yeah, let me get to the research stage, like you said. So
Sounds
research
interesting.
stage, like we mentioned earlier, is they're way ahead, the way early in their journey, right? 12 months, 16 months, 24 months. And they
Definitely.
have a lot of questions that they need answers to. Yeah.
Mm.
And where do they, how do they, what is the channel that they use to seek these answers? They mostly Google for information. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or they sometimes watch a lot of videos where again it's YouTube search at the end
Mhm.
of the day, where they're watching very early stage videos. They also read a lot of articles, blogs that are hosted on a website, and some even participate in webinars and all of that. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's mostly the research stage, where they need to, whether whether asking for a series of questions at a very early stage, and they also want very accessible, easy to digest information. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's very key, right? Because you don't want to just throw information at them. You want to be again helping them answer these questions and helping them nurture and move. That's the
Yes.
goal. Yeah.
And
And
the way
yeah,
you create this experience can be the differentiator that your brand has across
absolutely.
all the competition. Because let's say a particular student visits five different websites, he would always remember that experience which is much different than the generic ones. Yeah, so if he can find something very different to the others, then definitely it's one solid way for your brand to stand out from the rest. So
Thank you.
would
Thank
love
you.
to see more
And
examples.
this is where and this is where I think marketing and admissions team needs to really sort of get into a brainstorming gig where they try to
Hmm.
understand how can we introduce new capabilities, yeah, that the current target audience will engage, interact, and be part of our experience. That's the goal. Yeah, it's not to sell, it's not to push, it's
100%.
not to convert, it's to aid them into, like you mentioned, students subconsciously will start resonating with the brand because they have attracted and they've solved a particular problem, and they've emotionally invested in that university or that college. I want to quickly dive into some examples. So, Jeevan, what do you think?
Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone's heard of Hult.
Mm-hmm.
Is a fantastic university, not just in the UAE. They're present in multiple regions,
Mm-hmm.
multiple countries. One of their flagship series of programs is their MBA. And what I really want to emphasize about Hult is great. They have information to showcase. But I think this screen, what you're looking at is extremely interesting because these are multiple call to actions, right? One
Yeah.
that everybody does is downloading a brochure. The other
Mm-hmm.
is, of course, talk to us so that we can help you with some answers, yeah, that you're seeking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely there's this scholarship push where they're like, okay, now if you want to apply early, there's a scholarship available. But what really ticks the intent or the interest for me is this 4-minute Halt quiz, which is which MBA program is right for you. Take this 4-minute quiz to find out. Now, we're talking
Wow.
about research stage, very, very early stage in the journey.
Mm-hmm.
um, I might have a lot of interests. I might have a lot of areas where I want to grow into or learn
Mm-hmm.
or improve, or I might want to look at a position which is aspirational and I want to reach there and I want to understand what program helps me reach that position. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what this quiz really entails is it sort of helps me in that very early stage to help me understand which program is right for me.
That's
Very
correct.
good job done. And it's a quiz experience. It is
Mm-hmm.
something that you don't see most university do. It's an interesting tool that they have chosen to solve this problem. They could have
Mm-hmm.
just had a list of programs and just shown all of them. Yeah.
Definitely.
But instead they went with the alternative route. Most universities just show programs,
Mm-hmm.
and below the program they have what is the eligibility criteria where they showcase, and they also have future career if you choose this program. Yeah, all of that is
Definitely.
available as segmented information, but this is a
Mm-hmm.
more engaging experience. So let's dive into the quiz.
100%.
Now you can quickly see that. Okay, some of the questions, I just started the quiz. Yeah, now let's walk through some of the questions to see whether it's really engaging and whether it's actually trying to solve some of the areas that I'm actually looking at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One example is leadership is crucial to driving change. How important is leadership to your career goals? Now, for me, it's extremely important, but I like the way how it's presented. So, Jeevan, if you look at it, right? Very
Definitely.
simple, clear question.
Mm-hmm.
Before the question, they also have what does leadership really mean? So they're trying to help students understand what leadership is all about just through a
Yes.
very, very simple statement. And they also have multiple choices. Now these choices are not extremely difficult for me to choose, right? They're very engaging choices, they're very simple choices. Yeah, I'm going to choose very important and move ahead. Is in this MBA you'll study every topic through a global lens. Sounds good. uh Interesting, right? Again,
Yes, of course.
do I want to study through a global lens, or do I want to focus on maybe Middle East or maybe just UAE? I think
Yes.
my goals are more towards UAE as a region, so I'm gonna really say this doesn't fit my goals because I'm
Mm-hmm.
more. But I want to see where I can double down on UAE. So I'm gonna say no, this does not fit my goal. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which skill would you like to develop during your MBA?
Yeah.
Brilliant question. And
Brilliant question.
what's interesting is there's a clear. I'm not sure because most people don't understand what it means by optimizing processes and resources unless they have a huge experience under their belt. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
something to understand. These terminologies are not very easy because they're not simple language. Yeah, so I'm going to
Definitely.
hit I'm not sure and quickly move ahead. So you see, right, what's happening is they're trying to introduce topics to me and trying to see if those topics are my interests and
Mm-hmm.
where I am, or they're trying to understand what I should be, what is my interest, so that
Definitely.
finally I'm very intrigued to understand what they will showcase to me. And that's what I want to show you guys as well. Now, this is a 4 minute quiz. I'm not going to take you to the entire quiz. I'm going to quickly dive into
But
the result.
the crux
Yeah,
of it is that it keeps the person very engaged so that they don't fall
100%.
off through the journey. Yeah. And the
100%.
questions are also very thought provoking, which especially a student who's going to enroll into a university would find very valuable, because that also sets the standard of the university in the eyes of the
Absolutely.
consumer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. Great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything right. Just going to quickly dive into the
Okay.
solution. Yeah, which is the final once I complete the quiz. Oh,
Hmm.
before I complete FYI, they did collect my name, email ID, phone number, information. Now, at this stage, am I willing to give this information? I think so, yes.
Mhm.
Because I feel I've completed a exercise, I've spent 4 minutes of my time. Now
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to what the result will be.
Yes.
So my uh, my level of conviction to give my information is a lot more stronger.
Yes. So
Yeah,
the friction in the marketing process has actually been reduced by giving some
absolutely.
kind of perceived value to the person who's actually doing it. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, now the program that they've suggested for me is Masters in International Business. Now, this is not the way how I filled my existing form. This is a form that I filled probably a couple of hours back. Yeah,
Okay.
so clearly they've mentioned I you do not qualify for Hult's MBA program as you need 3 years of professional work experience.
Wow.
Boom, gone.
I mean,
But
it's so interesting to see how you can get this kind of suggestion without even talking to an admissions person. Yeah.
true,
and
true.
and
See,
because if you look at the way people want to discover things these days, it's mostly a self-service model. Yeah, they don't want to be
thank you.
talking to someone. They hate to basically answer phone calls. They are people who want to get everything on the go and at their
Correct.
convenience. Yeah.
I mean, the root of why they don't enjoy maybe having conversations is the B2C experiences get shifted everywhere else, right? I mean, how
Yes,
you order your groceries, how you
that's right.
order food, how you search for a problem, how do you, I mean, go from one location to another through Uber. So all of these experiences have have driven a more, like you mentioned, a self-service model, which is, can I find information first? Can I equip myself with information before I communicate with X, Y, or Z, so that when I communicate with them, I have the right questions to ask?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So I think that self-serve model is clearly picking up, like you mentioned. And this is, and of course, we're in the information age, right? It's all
Yeah.
about information. It's all about providing value and differentiated value. Like we
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, ads everybody's doing, SEO everybody's. This is differentiated value. Okay, let's get a little bit further. I think we're sort of digressing. So now, in spite of me having no experience, it talks about how I'll be a great match for the Masters in International Business, which is MIB. And they speak about certain key elements, which is leadership skills, rapidly evolving global business environment. I think they're trying to answer some questions that I previously had in my head, right? And they're trying to position this program by talking about rankings. Great. Now, slowly diving into eligibility requirements, where what should be the English level, education level, my so they're validating the fact that they asked me a question about my English level. They asked me a question about my degree, my latest education. So they, all of this is a tick mark. If you quickly look at this, right, admissions have a lot more lesser work now,
Correct.
because all of these questions are sort of already answered for them.
Answered.
So
Yes.
they are,
Yes.
when they talk to potential students, they're
Mhm.
going to talk about the outcome of whatever the quiz is and really focus on the hard questions that students have. Was this trying to again go down and start filtering on the basic criteria? Yeah.
Definitely. And one more point that I would like to touch upon is how the positioning element comes into play here. Because
Hmm.
these are all now, for example, the course content that you see here is what you will typically find in a PDF document or as a downloadable, which is
Hmm.
a generic thing that anyone can, find or download. But here,
Hmm.
the student has a sense of customization. Yeah,
Hmm.
this is something that is built for me, not something that is generic to every other person who's doing this. So I mean, the
100%.
positioning element also has a big role to play here. And I love the
100%.
way Halt has actually positioned this tool to create that differentiator. Fantastic, Ashwin. Go ahead.
Just one last emphasis, Sujeevan. Look at this, right? International focus. Because
Hmm.
I said I'm not really into international focus. There's a everywhere there's a tick, but here there's a information note. And look
Yes.
at the description. Although studying through a global lens may not be your top priority, having an international perspective on business will certainly give you an edge. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm
How
not
more
even sure
personalized can this get?
exactly. Oh, thank you, man. Personalized is the word. Personalized to the T. And not just that, this is really more of an advisor talking to me, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not like a
It's not
sales
like a sales
conversation.
pitch. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like an advice. It's like a counselor communicating with me on what I think or what I should do or what I feel,
Correct.
especially for early stage students who are looking for an MBA. I think this is bang for the buck. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is one of the ways in which a clear, unique differentiator is built.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And I'd
that's one
also like
example.
to quickly see another example which you can share with us about a university that has done something similar, which I think will add a lot of value
Hmm.
to our audience.
Okay, so now we spoke about adding value. Now, what does it mean by adding value? One university has gone the approach of an engaging quiz ecosystem. Now, everyone's heard of INSEAD. Everyone's at least heard about them from a friend, from word of mouth, on social,
Hmm.
on Google search, everywhere. Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, what INSEAD has uniquely or how they've uniquely positioned themselves is extremely interesting. They have created a platform called In the Know.
Hmm.
Now, In the Know is basically a platform that that the goal of the platform is to provide value by creating topics of interest. Yeah, expert opinions, thought pieces for their potential um,
Students.
prospective students. Yeah. Now, see when I mentioned prospective students, let's go into who their prospective students are. Young professionals, mid career professionals, senior executives. Very clearly, they have identified
They're
topics of
buyers.
interest. Exactly, their buyers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Topics of interest for their buyers.
Hmm.
And they've gone and created an ecosystem where their buyers, or I'm sorry, students can consume this information again for their decision making. Yeah, so I think it's very interesting to sort of go through some of the topics here just to sort of double emphasize on what we're trying to talk about. Great. Ambition has no gender. The new MBA curriculum integrating sustainability into business decisions. So Jeevan, what was the latest event that happened in UAE?
I think COP28, when you say sustainability,
Brilliant.
that rings a bell.
Brilliant. Exactly. Exactly. This event just happened in the UAE. And right after that, you can see an article that talks about sustainability, business decisions. Every mid career professional would have seen COP28 and UAE and the positioning very clearly all across the last couple of months. And introducing this topic at this time, and again, the goal is to, of course, position the university, but also add value. Yeah, where I
Yes.
think they've done a killer job. Three reasons to select Singapore as your MBA starting campus. Again, very big question, right? So, Jivan, which campus should I choose? There's a Dubai campus, there's a Singapore campus, and then there are a couple of others. Which one do I choose? Why do I have to choose one over the other?
Mm.
Yeah. They have podcasts, great career trajectories. INSEAD, MIM graduates share their stories. You remember we discussed this as well. Once we complete the program, what's my career looking like? Yeah,
Definitely.
they have an employment report 2021. Yeah, nurturing entrepreneurial potential with the INSEAD MBA. I mean, very clearly inspiring transformation through experiential learning research. Wide range of topics focusing on multiple personas, multiple target audiences, curating content that is unique to them. Even if you see the images, right? How a mid-career professional looks like versus how a senior executive would look like, to the T, right? Done extremely well. Career development for working professionals, senior executives.
That's
I
that's
mean,
what I love about this example, because it's all revolving around the persona, and it's very easy for the person who's actually looking for information to come and see what is relevant to them, rather than going into each and every other quiz or whatever it is. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, what I really enjoy here, one more angle, Sujeevan, is join the mailing list.
Mm.
Now, every week, I'm going to get bite sized information on my email from INSEAD around these topics that I'm interested in.
Yes.
Now, we spoke about impact earlier, where we said emotional decisions, where students always go back to the university that they get most information from. What is
Hmm.
INSEAD doing is being part of that ecosystem where week on week, they continuously engage with students, yeah, through what they have built. So there's one creations channel which is creating this platform, and then using mails as a distribution channel, so that they're able to always be, like you often mention, so even top of mind, yeah,
100%.
for students. I think that's very, very interestingly done, knocked out of the park by INSEAD.
Absolutely. I think this is a great example, because it shows again the kind of image or the positioning that INSEAD wants to have in this entire market of offering professional qualifications to working professionals. Yeah. I mean, amazing insights there, Ashwin. I really, really love the way you actually, decoded everything for us. So I'm glad we discussed the research phase in depth. Originally, I think we had a timeline of about 10 to 15 minutes, but uh,
Yeah, I swear.
gladly the video had gone up to nearly 30 minutes. But I really do feel that we discussed a lot of key factors which education marketers should consider when developing their marketing plans, because the entire goal is to see how you can differentiate yourself from the other brands that you're competing with. And it's interesting to see real case examples that you shared with us. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm really looking forward to the next round of videos where we'll be decoding the rest of the students' journey and the stages for our audiences.